Yo everyone, Noche UFC Lopes vs Silva was absolutely insane with so many fight of the night contenders, so many vicious finishes, so many upsets on this card. I just have to talk about it all. I will start this video off by going through all of my results in terms of my betting guide and my picks for this card. I'll then break down my thoughts about each of the 6 fights that were on the main card of UFC Noche. And then lastly, I also do want to talk about Canelo vs Crawford that was also on today. It will all be in this video, guys. Timestamps will be in the description, and I should have chapters up if you do want to skip to any fight in particular. Let's get into it. And like I said, we're going to be talking about all these topics in this video that are on screen, but we are going to be starting with our results on this card, and unfortunately, we did not do very well on picks or on bets, guys. For our picks, we ended up going 4-9, which is probably the worst result I've ever had doing predictions on the channel. But of course, something like this is always bound to happen with the amount of underdogs that won this time around, especially. As for my bets on this card, these are the bets I had this weekend. I am putting them up on screen right now, and I will highlight in green all the bets that cashed and in red all the bets that did not cash, and man, it was rough, guys. I only actually ended up down around 2 units on the card, which with all of these failed bets, I did actually feel like it wasn't that bad. I feel like we also did get quite unlucky with a few bets, honestly. I am ready to come back very strong on the next card, and potentially I might also put some bets on Dana White's Contender Series with my video that's coming out this week. Now that that is out of the way, let's talk about the main card of UFC Noche, starting with Diego Lopes getting the upset KO over Gene Silva in round 2, and this fight was literally like a fucking car crash, guys. While it lasted, Diego Lopes secured a takedown in the first round almost straight away, and he proceeded to get full mount almost as quickly. Once he was in that position, those elbows he was throwing on the top of Gene Silva's head were insanely sharp. It cut Gene Silva immediately as soon as he threw them. There was some nasty ground and pound. He was almost able to get him out of there a couple of times in that first round to win a pretty clear 10-8 round, in my opinion. I thought it was a pretty clear 10-8. Second round starts, Gene Silva is literally throwing the kitchen sink at Diego Lopes. If it was anyone else in the division, I guarantee you they wouldn't have been standing just like Diego Lopes was. They would have been out cold on the canvas. Silva is coming back in this fight. He's looking really insane. He's having a lot of success in the second round, but then he just starts to get too over-aggressive, and he ends up eating a very nasty spinning elbow, basically getting Aaron Pico'd in this fight. Stoppage was completely fine in my mind, but Gene Silva was not happy about it. It looked like he tried to hit Diego Lopes as he came over to talk to him after the fight. He was not in a good headspace. That is for sure, in my opinion. Insane finish from Diego Lopes, and he's really shown that he is a staple at the top of the division and that he could truly be a champion of the division, even though he did fail his first attempt against Volkanovski. Most likely they will let Lerone Murphy fight for the title next, in my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a Diego Lopes versus a Movsar Evloev number 2 for the next contender for the title shot in the meantime. Moving on to the co-main event now, we've got David Martinez. Fantastic performance from Martinez fighting against Rob Font. It was on short notice in the co-main event. After Raul Rosas Jr. pulled out, the dude really did show up. Granted, I do think the fight was very close. I thought that was coming down to the third round, and as I thought the round was decently even, David Martinez seemed to hurt Rob Font, and it was in the last 20 seconds of the fight, and I believe that was enough to clearly steal the round in my eyes and win a pretty clear 29-28 decision. It was another upset win for another underdog on this card, and Mexico could just not lose tonight, guys. Every single Mexican won on this card, and on the last card in Paris, every single Frenchman did win as well. So it is insane stuff, guys. Rob did look pretty decent in my eyes. It was a very close fight, but it was David Martinez's night tonight, guys. Another thing I did want to mention though, what the fuck was the ending of this fight, guys? The referee didn't hear the bell at all. The fight ended up going on for like another 10 seconds more than what it should have been. And even regardless if you don't hear the bell and the fight's going on for a longer period of time, the ref also proceeded to do absolutely nothing for when David Martinez was throwing all of these shots to the back of the head of Rob Font. There has been a lot of terrible mistakes during this card, mark my words, guys. There were quite a few late stoppages with people taking a lot more damage than what they should have been in their fights. It was pretty bad in terms of reffing tonight. Moving on to the feature fight of the card, we've got Rafa Garcia finishes Jared Gordon. Speaking of bad reffing here, he finished Jared Gordon in the 3rd round of this fight, and honestly, this felt like a very winnable fight for Jared Gordon. I know Rafa didn't look bad, but Jared was just landing the bigger shots of the fight for me. He was doing it the majority of the time. I thought if the fight went to decision, Jared would probably win this fight. But what ends up happening, guys, they get scrappy again. They've been getting scrappy for the majority of the exchanges in the fight. And then Jared arguably gets knocked out, then gets subbed, and then gets ground and pounded into a pulp all in one. He got received it all in one sequence in my mind. I originally thought he might have been completely out from the choke, and then just after the choke, he received like some massive ground and pound strikes. But then on replay, I think he was out initially from the first shot that he received. He must have been completely wobbled because it looked like he wasn't really defending the choke. And then after the choke attempt, he just got ground and pounded really bad. Amazing win for Rafa Garcia. He got the 3rd round upset here. Like I mentioned, this is the 3rd upset in a row. Very crazy stuff on this card. Moving on now to the only fight that I picked correctly on the entire main card. Kelvin Gastelum beat Dustin Stoltzfus in a really entertaining war. And Kelvin was pretty much landing his left hand on the chin of Dustin Stoltzfus whenever he wanted in this fight. It was probably the biggest story of the fight. Dustin Stoltzfus absorbed a lot of damage though, and he managed to come back and stumble Kelvin in moments in this fight. But it did just seem like Kelvin could possibly strike him and do a lot more damage to him, and Kelvin was absorbing more shots than him, better than him. And it almost feels like Kelvin, had some sort of advantage in this fight, maybe outweighing Stoltzfus here. Obviously, I'm beating around the bush here, guys. I was pretty pissed off at Kelvin Gastelum for missing weight, and I was rooting against Kelvin Gastelum, even though he was the only guy that I picked that actually won. I thought that Kelvin did win 29-28. I thought Dustin Stoltzfus won one of the rounds. I thought 30-27 was a little surprising, but I did think Kelvin won this fight. Moving on now to Alexander Hernandez, TKOing Carlos Diego Ferreira. And guys, this was another terrible stoppage. I'll say that straight up. I don't know how you can look at Ferreira in this fight when he's completely clipped and he's getting ground and pounded into the canvas and think to yourself, oh, maybe give him another 10 to 15 strikes and then maybe he's done. Like when the dude was literally done and dusted, the fight just kept going. I just couldn't believe it. I was yelling at my screen for the fight to be done. You're there to protect the fighters. You need to do your job. You got to do it properly. It's their health at the end of the day that you're putting at risk. But to talk about the actual fight instead of just the refs, I thought that Diego Ferreira looked very good. I thought he was on his way to winning this fight pretty clean in a decision, in my opinion. I think I remember it being like a close-ish first round and then Diego Ferreira winning the second round more clearly. But the fight's not over till it's over, and Alexander Hernandez adds a really good name to his resume, and he wants Michael Chandler next as well. Very winnable fight for him, in my opinion. Lastly, before we talk about Canelo versus Crawford, Santiago Luna defeats Quang in the first round by TKO, and this one was just a scrappy round that felt like it could have gone either way, guys. Quang stuns Santiago Luna pretty much on fight start, and I'm thinking he's going to finish this guy early, but then Santiago recovers pretty well. He ends up landing a big shot on Quang in an exchange, hurts him bad, and then follows up with shots that were the ones that truly hurt him, dropping him and then putting him away in this fight. Santiago gets knocked down in the first round, comes back, gets the first round KO. That's pretty much the fight summary for you guys. They're very impressive. The guy's very young, I believe. He just turned 21, so he was 20 before he took this fight a couple of days ago. So very impressive performance from a young dude. Moving on now, finally to Canelo versus Crawford. And guys, I literally could not have predicted this fight any better, even if I knew the outcome of the fight. That's how close the prediction was. It was very spot on. I'm really happy with it. I picked Crawford as an underdog in this fight. I said that he would most likely bank the first rounds. I said that he would win the majority of the first rounds. If you took the first 6 rounds, I thought he would win at minimum 4 of them. I said that after, once it did get to the later rounds, Canelo would start to try to push the pace more and that the rounds would start to get a bit more competitive, in my opinion. I said that Crawford would win a decision victory based on banking those early rounds, because once they got more competitive later on, the rounds would be too close. Crawford wins maybe a few of those rounds and it's a clear win, decision win. And I just couldn't predict down to a T how good Crawford actually looked. I thought he looked even better than how I could have ever asked for, honestly, for a prediction. I personally gave Canelo only 3 rounds in this fight. I thought Crawford won 9 rounds. I thought that was pretty much extremely fair in my opinion. I actually thought in the last exchange as well in round 12 that Crawford looked like he hurt Canelo with a hook as well. Which just put the cherry on top of a very impressive performance from Crawford. I thought that he looked a lot faster than Canelo in this fight. I thought his speed was very important. I did mention this in my prediction video as well. And overall, I just thought it was a very decisive and clean technical win for Crawford here. And it's from a fighter who I believe deserves more praise and more recognition that he's gotten in prior fights. And I believe now he will be receiving that praise and recognition that he's been longing for. And honestly, it's a long-awaited recognition for him. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time, and potentially he's now in the conversation for the greatest boxer of our generation. Anyways, guys, though, overall, as a fan, watching this card, watching Canelo vs. Crawford, especially the main event of UFC Noche as well, I was thoroughly entertained. Even though my results, obviously, overall, for the betting guide and for the picks weren't that great, I at least had fun watching as a fan. I did enjoy the card, and I also enjoyed live streaming the event. My live fight companion was really entertaining for me. If you guys have any thoughts about any of my picks, any of my results, or just any of these thoughts that I've had recapping these fights, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll answer any comment that you guys leave. That's really it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.